diamonds in a hole? Fire zombie pigments take my gold. Oh, I wonder what they're gonna trade with me. Full of netherite armor.
These have gotta be the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns because the speedrunners are absolutely terrible at hiding the fact that they're cheating. This speedrun starts inside of a spruce biome, and the first thing that the speedrunner does is run directly to a ship, which definitely isn't suspicious at all. Once they get inside the ship, they for some reason find a wither skeleton. I thought wither skeletons only spawn inside the desert where it's hot, not inside of a random ship. Well, the wither skeleton hits the speedrunner, so the speedrunner just keeps on beating up the wither skeleton until eventually it dies. The speedrunner then opens the chest and surprisingly finds some pretty normal loot, so they take most of the loot and exit the ship. But then for some reason they go inside of their settings and just start turning on and off a bunch of random settings. Once they're done doing that, they immediately start digging straight down and find a chest. Now I have a weird feeling that there are some suspicious items inside of this chest, and if I'm right, I think everyone should subscribe. Well, the speedrunner opens up the chest and finds tons of suspicious items, so I guess that means that everyone now has to subscribe. They take all of the iron, diamonds, and even the ender pearl and build out of the hole. They then for some reason just randomly throw their ender pearl, and once it lands, they're in the nether. Alright, this speedrun is definitely cursed. In the nether, we can find some weird path of just this random wood. So of course the speedrunner follows the path, but some hoglins try and kill them. So he absolutely jukes the hoglins, and at the end of the path is just a normal tree. So the speedrunner starts mining the tree, and that's when the tree suddenly drops item frames and blaze powder, which in case you didn't know is completely fake. They keep on mining the tree and just keep on getting blaze powder. They eventually get 12 blaze powder and also 6 logs, which they use to make themselves a crafting table. They then use the crafting table to make themselves a diamond sword, diamond pants, and a full set of iron armor. They then begin to make their way back towards the portal and go back into the overworld. Once they're back in the overworld, they're in the middle of nowhere. So they just randomly go into the forest and wander around for a little bit until they find a village. But one of the houses inside the village looks a little bit weird. So the speedrunner enters this house and opens the chest to find tons of ender pearls. Okay, this speedrunner is cheating harder than my dad cheats on my mom. Wait, what? The speedrunner uses the blaze powder and the ender pearls to make themselves some eyes of ender. They then start stealing some potatoes from the villager's farm, and that's when they find a random end portal. Even though I could have sworn that end portals only spawn inside of strongholds, not inside of villages. Well, the speedrunner places in all of the eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, things seem pretty normal. There's endermen, all the pillars look normal, and the wither is full HP. Wait, what? The wither? I thought the ender dragon spawns in the end, not the wither. Well, the wither goes around shooting everyone, and the speedrunner sees that the portal is wide open. So instead of killing the wither, the speedrunner just goes to the portal and beats the speedrun. The speedrunner starts just simply walking until they suddenly decide to break the roof with their wooden shovel. They break the roof, but then a skeleton shoots their bow at them, and the skeleton starts cranking 90s. So then Steve starts cranking 90s. The speedrunner then places down TNT and a pressure plate and launches the TNT to the skeleton, which ends up killing it, and the speedrunner wins the game. Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I am super duper close to 30,000 subscribers, so if you could subscribe, that would genuinely make my day. This speedrunner starts right next to a village, so they immediately head right into the village and enter a house which has a chest, and inside the chest is surprisingly some pretty normal loot. So the speedrunner takes all of the loot, puts on the pants, and leaves the house. The speedrunner runs around and sees a ruined portal out in the distance, which I'm not gonna lie, a ruined portal right next to a village is an insanely lucky spawn. But first, the speedrunner grabs some wheat and go up to a house and start breaking the log, which they turn into planks to make themselves a crafting table. They then use that crafting table to make themselves some bread. Now that the speedrunner has tons of food, they then head towards the ruined portal, which is only missing a few obsidian. As the speedrunner gets closer, they open the chest and find 2 more obsidian, and also some pretty normal loot as well. Surprisingly, this speedrun doesn't seem too fake, everything just seems really lucky. But the speedrunner can't place the obsidian because it's just way too high. So they then begin mining some grass, but then they run all the way back towards their crafting table, which they use to turn their iron nuggets into iron iron ingots, but they only have one iron ingot. But that's when we can suddenly see that there is some iron on the ground right here for some reason. So the speedrunner picks up the iron and uses it to make themselves an iron pickaxe. And not only that, but also an iron sword. They then head back towards the ruin portal and place in the obsidian and build up and place some more obsidian, which they coincidentally had the exact right amount, which could just be extremely lucky. But the speedrunner uses their fire charge that they got from the ruin portal chest to light the nether portal. They then enter the nether. But once they're in the nether, things are pretty weird because there are tons of nether portals, which I've actually never seen before. Well, the speedrunner just walks past the nether portals except for this last one, which they end up just walking straight through and find two llamas. And behind the llamas is a piglin head with a chest and a sign that says Wandering PP Trader. Well, I've never heard of a wandering PP trader before, but it could have just been in the newest update. Well, the speedrunner opens the chest and finds tons of ender eyes. Oh my god, that is definitely not legit. Well, the speedrunner takes all of the ender eyes and starts making their way back towards their nether portal. Once they're back in the overworld, they start heading back towards the village, where they find a sign that says, "There's nothing in this hole, I pinky promise." Yeah, right. Well, the speedrunner goes into the hole and just sits there. Well, you know, I guess there actually is nothing in the hole. So the speedrunner just builds out of the hole and runs around the village some more, until the speedrunner finds this weirdly placed water. And inside the water is a secret tunnel, which for some reason has nothing inside of it. Well, the speedrunner for some reason goes into the marketplace, and they just start looking at cool dinosaurs, aliens, secret doors, and Star Wars. They click on the Star Wars thing and just look at it for a little bit, until they suddenly go out of the shop and there's just an end portal here. I think the speedrunner was just trying to distract us while they magically placed an end portal here. Well, the speedrunner places in their very legit Eyes of Ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they jump to the island and start climbing this naturally generated staircase. Once they're on top of the island, they find a random ender pearl, so they just pick it up and throw it. And once it lands, they look around and there is just no ender dragon. And because of that, the speedrunner just goes to the portal and beats the speedrun. This speedrun starts in the desert, but they're right next to a desert pyramid. So they start heading over towards the pyramid, but also break some dead bushes on their way there for some sticks. But randomly, while they're on their way there, they break a block beneath this cactus and find a chest which has tons of ender pearls. They then use those ender pearls to get closer towards the pyramid, and once they're in there, they start breaking the block and jump down, but for some reason, there is no pressure plate, which I've actually never seen before inside of a pyramid. The speedrunner opens the first chest and finds some normal loot, but they open the second chest and find a decent amount of diamonds, but also a crafting table. I'm pretty sure crafting tables can't just randomly spawn inside of pyramids. They place on the crafting table and make themselves a diamond pickaxe. They then open the next chest and find tons of blaze powder. They take the blaze powder and open the next chest, which has nothing. Okay then. They then randomly break behind this wall and find a giant area with an end portal. So the speedrunner takes their ender pearls and their blaze powder to make themselves some Eyes of Ender. They place in the Eyes of Ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they find a path of beds, which has gotta be the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. They go across the path of beds, and once they're at the main island, there's for some reason just no endermen, and there's also tons of random end crystals by the dragon. So the speedrunner blows up the crystals, which damages the dragon. But then the dragon heals super fast, so I think the speedrunner gets mad because a random cut happens and they suddenly have strength. They then spend the next 30 minutes killing the ender dragon until eventually it dies and they win the speedrun. If you enjoyed that video, you should probably click this video because this video is also pretty darn cool.